Call this meeting to order. Please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All supervisors are present, therefore a quorum has been established. Announcements. The next regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors will take place Tuesday, December 19th, 2023 at 9 a.m. at the Community Center, 3500 Edgewater Drive, Sebring, Florida. Please silence or turn off your cell phones. Some key upcoming events we have coming here in Thunder Lake. The MGA Christmas Couples is December 2nd. The WGA Christmas Scramble is December 6th. The Holiday Merry Market at the Community Center will be December 9th. The LGA Christmas Scramble is December 13th. The Big Brothers Big Sisters Golf Tournament on December 16th. The District Tree Lighting Ceremony will be December 16th. The district office will be closed on December 25th and 26th. And the Citrus Golf Trail Ladies Invitational will be held December 28th through the 31st. I will now entertain public comments on anything related to the consent agenda or any item that is not listed on the action agenda. Do I have any public comments? Anyone want to speak yet? Yes, sir. Please come to the phone.
Hi, my name is William, last name is Klein. I live at 4510 Caltrava Avenue. I have a couple of questions about the taxes in the district fee.
What, sir?
Taxes, district fee.
Okay.
Number one, my property abuts the golf course.
Right.
And I know there's an additional fee for that.
Yeah.
My question is, why is there a tax increase on that additional fee?
A tax on the fee?
Yeah, well, I pay, $75 because it was explained to me at the district office that it's because I can see the golf course.
Correct.
Okay, and I explained to them I can't because of the trees, and they said, well, nobody can go behind your house, so that's why there's an additional fee.
If you are adjacent to the golf course, there is that fee.
I understand, but it's because of the golf course, not because nobody can build behind me. Is that
It's
correct?
because the golf course is available. Seeing the golf course is available to you.
Okay, I understand that.
Okay.
But whenever there's a district fee increase, there's also an increase in that additional fee.
Correct.
That doesn't seem to make sense to me.
It's all related to the percentages that we agreed that the assessments need to be increased. And that is an assessment, therefore it goes up the same as any other assessment.
Okay, that makes sense. The other thing, I just have a question about Tanglewood. Tanglewood's part of Sun Lakes.
That's correct.
Do they pay the district fee?
Yes. Yes.
And they pay it per lot?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. And then my third comment is code enforcement. It just doesn't seem to be happening.
We've made significant changes. We know that, in our opinion, that is a weak spot that we have, and we are taking steps to correct that. We have added another code enforcement employee, and several actions have been taken. You should see an improvement in that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, wait, sorry.
My name is Julia Cassidy. I live on Darien. I oppose your new fees. I think they're unfair in this economy with everything going up. price of everything, even buying groceries are so expensive.
What fees are you talking about?
The new fees for the,
Okay, that's part of the action agenda. We'll be addressing all of that at that time.
one of the things on your other agenda was on number D about the fees for builders, just $150 for a permit. Any other community that I lived in and where we built new houses, the extra excess on the sewer system is because of all these new builds going on. Why isn't there an impact fee on all these builders and all these houses?
There is an impact fee, and the $150 that you're talking about is strictly a clearing permit.
What is the impact fee on these houses?
I don't have it right.
It ranges between $6,500 to $7,500 per parcel.
But it seems like the new builds should be paying for this extra sewer than the people that have lived here for years and years.
But you're the one, we're all utilizing, but that's going to be discussed under the action agenda, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to, any more public comment? Need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Call the vote.
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Phillips?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Norton?
Yes.
President Herrick?
Yes. Mr. Kurak could not be with us today with the Thanksgiving holiday. Their commissioners meeting has been moved to today, so he cannot be with us today. Moving on the first action agenda item, we have a special recognition that we would like to do. And from the district, Dr. Deborah Shady.
Yeah, Dr. Fischetti, come forward if you're here, please. From the district, Sun Lake District, for Dr. Fischetti, PhD, on her past and her ongoing efforts to beautify our community. Dr. Fischetti is a pillar in the community in her daily vigilance, patrolling our community and its streets, positively impacting many. She takes it on herself to clean up random trash and identify areas of concern as she goes about her daily business, all in an effort to make this a great place to live. The district board, staff, residents greatly appreciate her efforts and thank her for her dedication to the beauty of our district. Dr. Fischetti is being recognized with the Sun Lake District Achievement Coin, marked number 3 for her efforts. Thank you very much.
Can I make a couple of comments?
Yes.
A lot of people do thank me, and I used to say, it's my pleasure. Now I kind of add in some days. However, for any of you that want to join me, it can be quite rewarding. For example, the case and a half of Heineken beer that I found stashed at the end of a cul-de-sac that I think they were planning on, because there were a lot of empties that were there also. I think they started out with 2 cases, and I'm not talking the 6-pack. By the time I walked away, I had 17 bottles filled of Heineken. And since my nephew is the marketing manager for Heineken for the South, I said, whoopee. I know these weren't the young kids, because they can't afford Heineken. And the other thing, it was a couple of years ago that I was picking up trash in the employee parking lot of Advent Health, and I found a $100 bill. So come out and join me, and you might be just as lucky. Thank you.
Okay, next item B, discussion on the wastewater treatment plan, the way ahead and the financing plan. I'll go ahead and take this.
Yes, sir. So where we stand right now, you're going to have possibly 2 motions to discuss and possibly action today. We are still in the back and forth with the Department of Environmental Protection of the state on some questions and answers. The biggest issue that is holding us up is the submission of our financing plan, our concept of how Sun Lake, working with the state, will fund this endeavor. That's part of the discussion today. A lot of the technical questions of the requirements, are being answered by our engineering staff. Have a meeting this week to finalize our resubmission back to the state. And then hopefully that gets into them before the holidays. That'll get on their agenda for first quarter or second quarter of next year. And we should get an answer back from the state on the level of funding that they're comfortable giving us, asking for 55 million. They'll give us the answer, is it that, is it more, is it less? But that's totally up to the state and their coffers and what they have to offer. So we're going back and forth. In your packet there, you have the spreadsheet, which is the proposed funding plan, which we made adjustments after our discussions last month. We expanded the repayment plan option from 10 years to a 15-year window, which is extremely generous for municipal government, I'll be honest. Usually, if this was any other municipality, be it Florida or the United States somewhere, a fee like this could be levied the same year, and that would be when you're expected to pay. There'd be very few financing plans that a municipality does working with its residents. So I think having a 15-year window is a great option. We include the 3 options for payment. It's either pay monthly, a small amount, pay it annually, at $180 amount, or and over 15 years, pay it annually, or pay it all at one lump sum in the first year, and you have the potential of receiving a 50% reduction, and then you are done. And for clarification, the biggest questions that we've had since our last meeting is,
This
if I
conference
close
will
this
now
out,
be
I'm done with it,
recorded.
and we'll adjust the books at that time. But starting January, if this goes through to today, you will start seeing an accounting on your water bills or your assessment bills that'll give you an accurate read of where you stand on the payment toward this $2,700 payment. Again, $2,700, it's a lot of money, but it's per parcel for this project that's going to equate to close to $85 million. That's a very small contribution towards an $85 million project. It's over a 15-year window. We're working payment plans. We're doing as best as we can to make this as less impactful to personal budgets, family budgets as possible, other than just being totally blatant and just say, pay us $2,700 next year and be done with it. And that's wrong. We wouldn't do that. So that's where we stand. Renters do not pay, for clarification. This is an assessment against the parcel, the landlord, the owner. So if you're a renter, you will not see that bill. Now, let's be honest, let's be fully transparent. If that landlord wants to pass that fee on to you as a renter, that can happen. It can happen, but you will not get a bill as a renter. If you're registered with us that you're renting in Sun and Lake, you pay your water bills, you will not see that. We're addressing only the landlords, the owners of parcels, and that's who will be getting this assessment. That's who this assessment is charged against. So that's been the 2 recurring questions of how long, how can I pay, what's the payment plans, and if I'm renting, do I have to pay this? But since then, that's been it. We are addressing any questions that get filed with us of, explanations of the project, the payments, and that type of stuff. There'll be a letter coming from my desk of a response. We are fully aware of the social media posts, the emails, and that type of stuff. We're monitoring that. But again, our doors are always open. The staff is fully able to discuss this as best as we can, and then you all are going to make the final decision either way. So that's where we stand on it.
That's on the very first motion, which is to approve an infrastructure special charge for all parcels of $2,700 paid over 15 years, or as Bob explained, various different avenues in which you could pay it. Based on that, I'm going to open this up for this particular motion to public comment. I request that you hold your comments to 3 minutes. And with that, I will open the floor up to those that may want to speak. Anyone who wants to speak on this particular motion?
Morning, it's Dave Martin on Orient Drive. The time it takes to finish the project, I know when things like this are built, there's a lot of overages, but I thought it said somewhere in there, 2-year bill, but to be completed no later than 2029. that what I read yesterday?
Yes, sir. That's the window the state has given us for funding as well as completion.
So that's the state, that's not just like, we don't know how long it'll take to build.
But no, sir, no.
Okay. Because that was like, that's a lot of window. So that has to do with the state, not.
By the time we get the engineering work done,
Okay.
clear the construction site, it gives us that, plus it's gonna take us quite a bit of time in order to get all it done. It'll take us the complete time, don't know that, but also with the state, with the government's involved, they kind of control some of the timeline also.
Okay, yeah, because of the money and stuff, the drafts. Once your parcel is paid in full, capitals, we anticipate no other special charges to be assessed. I think you clarified that. What is, clarifying question. Once your parcel is paid in full, we anticipate no other special charges. Am I missing something? Is that just?
As we sit here today, and what we know
Yeah.
is that we are expecting that we are going to assess the $2,700 amount to each parcel. Now, absent something that we have not foreseen, which I believe we've gone in depth to make sure that we cover everything. If there's a catastrophe of some sort, that doesn't mean that we may not have to have some other additional charge. But highly, at this point, there is nothing on the horizon that would even suggest that. Now, we could get halfway through the construction and have a hurricane come through. I don't know.
Right.
But
Right.
our best knowledge, $2,700 is all you're going to pay per parcel, period.
And then one last thing, the technology, is this the latest, newest technology? Or are there like other waste management ones that were considered?
Then, yes, sir, if I answer. The next step, once we give the state a concept plan of our funding options, the next step is we will drill down into the actual developer or contractor that we will use, or supervising agency, construction firm. And then at that point in time, having a collection of experience in Sun and Lake on my staff, as well as board input, we will refine the detail of the level of technology that we want to approach in this project. We are asking for a level of funding where it'll be current technology and into the next 4 or 5 year future technology that we want to incorporate for this $85 million. If we wanted a static plant, exactly what's sitting there right now, with no technology upgrades, with archaic infrastructure, the state, first of all, wouldn't fund that because they're like, why would you do that?
Right.
But it'd be almost half that cost. But then there's no upgrade, there's no increase. We'd be max capacity for our wastewater, there'd be no future development in Sun Lake, and that impacts us all negative. So yes, we will address technology types, options, and that'll be in future public comment sessions that we will have. The board will make the final decision once I lay out all the options to them, and then there'll be a price tag to that, but we think we funded this to capture all that with current technology and future technology.
Okay, that's the answer. We covered
Yeah.
it, Casey. Because we want that, if you're gonna do it, get the best latest.
Right.
Absolutely. That stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Deborah Fischetti, 3204 Manor Drive. I came here with 2 questions, and Boz, you answered one of the 2. The other is a neighbor's question. If they own, say, 4 lots, they've not been cleared, nothing's on them, and they don't get a utility bill, is the assessment, how is that $15 a month assessment gonna be paid?
Sure, so we're working on the mechanics of that. Once the board gives me the direction of the number we're gonna use, starting in January, you will see it on a utility bill. If you don't get a utility bill, you'll see it in a mailing we're gonna do in April on assessments that every landowner gets. So you'll see it again there if, for those people. There'll be the $2,700 charge there. They can either take the 180 option or pay it all off. And then future assessments, as they come out annually, as well as future utility bills, you'll see this recurring special infrastructure charge with a running count ticking down of how much you pay towards it until it's 0. And then you'll get a document from the district saying, your parcel number XYZ is paid in full. That'll be your documentation for future boards, future staff, that you've been cleared for the contribution to the wastewater plants.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Daniel Garland, 4505 Calatrava. I gave you a handout just to show what I was going to be talking about. This is going to extrapolate out to expensive water. 10 years from now, it's $100. And I did this based on a $50 a month bill. I don't know if people have a $50 a month, but anyway, that's what I based this on. I haven't run all the numbers out. I don't know that I need to. The question I have is that the sewer is 2/3 of our bill, of our water bill, at least. On my bill. And so if we're, just as an example, if we're going to be paying $100 in 2033, 10-year, then that's going to be 60 some odd dollars. I presume that all those numbers have been run out and they're, because the money towards the sewer is going to grow through this whole thing. My recommendation is against adding it to the assessment. I think the assessment, that was one of the.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The special charge will be on your utility bill. On those lots that have not been developed, that will be on their assessment bill.
Okay.
But if it's a developed lot, you're utilizing the water and sewer, it'll be on your water bill.
Okay, but it wasn't clear to me.
Okay.
So thank you for that clarification. What else? I think that pretty well covers it. I just was concerned that as this grows, water gets really expensive here. And
Yes, it does.
that's the way we're gonna look at it.
But yes, it is, it's expensive, but I think you're gonna see that that's the same type of cost that you're gonna see statewide as they do their work on these sewer systems and water systems. It's just gonna click up. And we are, right now, we're right in the low end.
Yes, sir.
Avon Park, Sebring, and Lake Placid. Now, we're the ones moving forward. Of course, Lake Placid had their one that they were trying to get through. It's on hold right now because of a lot of unanswered questions, but, yeah, there's some expensive, and that's, a lot of the money that you see there is helping fund this wastewater treatment plant, not only the 2,700.
I guess the other comment that I have is that I don't think we've ever seen tax assessment go away when there was supposed to be I know we're trying to plan that in and make sure that happens and all, but it's just most of our experiences with the government have never seen one go away. So, but anyway, thank you for the time.
Understand what you said.
Hello,
Good morning.
I'm Louise Dorn, I'm on Granada Boulevard, and I have some basic questions. What is the percentage improvement in capacity with this new system compared to the current systems?
What,
We're almost double.
Almost double.
Right now, both of our plants, we can accept about 900,000 gallons of waste a day.
And
That's with both plants operating at full capacity.
And how do you come to that number as what you would need in the future? Are you basing yourself on previous growth,
We use a calculation. This is where the state helps us with that calculation, and the consultant firm, Florida Water Association, they helped us with this packet. They did the calculation that it's not only a current use, it's our growth plan, but it's also, the board gave very clear guidance that our close to 3,500, 4,000 undeveloped parcels need to be able to be a tie into the system as they develop over time. So when you add the current 4,500 parcels that are developed, you add our empty lots, everything past basically Cortez, all the way out to Balboa, you add all those parcels that can be developed over time, that gives us a calculation of roughly 2 million gallons of waste a day our plant would require at a point in time to give us 50 plus years of lifespan, including all that growth. So that's where that calculation comes from.
And when you say that there will be an increase 5.2% each year, is that forever?
The plan is presented, it's in the packet if you all look online. The plan that we laid out is the 25-year plan. And in the 25 years, 15 of that is a special assessment. We do a worst-case scenario, a 5.2% annual utility increase. And that really is not just for the wastewater plant per se, that's for just what we have found historically for the operation of our utilities, our water and our wastewater plants. So we see that going for the entirety, but we've given the board the flexibility that we can reel back those costs if we see good year, bad year. We can bring those costs down to possibly a zero increase one year. If there's a point in time where the numbers all work and we're good and they vote on it, we could say no water increases.
So, but this is giving yourself permission to raise the rate 100% in 15 years. We did the numbers, it works out.
15 years, yes ma'am.
100%.
I would like to go back 15 years to see if any of my bills are the same from 15 years ago.
Yeah, but I would also ask you to consider that Highlands County is not a wealthy county. I looked at the numbers from the Census Bureau, and it is the rest of Florida for a household earns 31.7% more than the average household here in Highlands County. So I understand that you're looking at others and saying, oh, we're way below. But, you know, it's all a question of mill rates. And we have to be reasonable given the real wealth in our county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Debbie Buckingham on Terraga Street. You're proposing that this is going to be given to the state and that they're going to accept this proposal. Am I correct? They're going to accept the plan?
Correct. They've been involved.
Okay. What happens if they look at this and say, we're not going to accept it? It's not enough. And then what happens to these monies that are going to be expected for everyone to pay? You're going to have to go back to the drawing board and we're going to have to rethink all of that. It could be more. Is that true?
It's a catch-22, man. The state requires us as a municipal entity to provide them our financing plan for a project before they approve a project. So it's kind of putting the cart before the horse in some cases, but they will not entertain any request for funding unless we as a municipal government show what we're asking for as well as what we're going to contribute. What I think we will get a very quick answer in the January, February timeframe, that if the state says, yes, this is the amount, then we have enough flex, because we planned for 15 years, 20 years in the case, we have enough flex in the budget that we're proposing that we could accommodate a lesser than 55 million number. If it's drastically less, then I will definitely be bringing this back to the board for a future discussion, that we will have to see, okay, is it the size of the plan we need to reduce? Is it the monies we need to reduce? We'll have that discussion. It will not negatively impact. If you treat your municipal government as your banker. If you pay us $2,700 in January and I will worst case this out. In February, the state says, we're not gonna give you a dime. Then I come back to these folks here and I say, here's the next proposal. And we come up with a new number. It's either 3,500 or it's 1,500. Then we, as a municipal government, in our due diligence, will refund you your money and we'll move forward from there. Or we'll have to, again, levy a higher charge. So I think this is a partnership between these folks that you elect, you all as citizens, and the people you hire to run this place. This is a partnership. We all just got to get on board, figure it out, make sure we're doing the best thing we can do for our community, and take the emotions and the individuality out of this discussion. So that's how it is.
It's kind of fluid a little bit.
Very fluid, yes,
Very
sir.
fluid. It's very fluid.
Which is kind of scary. The other thing is, if I'm not mistaken, the county has a lot of property here in Sun Lake. Is that correct? They own a lot of parcels of property?
They own a foreclosed parcel, yes, ma'am. They do.
Okay, so how does that impact the county? Are they going to be responsible, the county, for paying this fee as well for each parcel of land?
The intent for the county, as well as anyone that forecloses, is to divest those parcels as quick as possible to either a developer or someone else. If the county declares some other parcels that they will hold indefinitely for county property, they are exempt. That's not going to be the case for all these lands that was foreclosed on. But they would be exempt if they say, we need to hold this lot for county use for something in the future. Like with our district parcels, they're exempt as well because they're a municipal government. But all the parcels that county forecloses on, they're going through a foreclosure process. They're putting them on sheriff's sale. As soon as that sheriff's sale happens, part of the title work that happens is this charge will be on that bill. So a developer, an individual, land buyer would have to clear that out, pay the fee, and then they're above board with this project.
But if the land is just staying there, they haven't gone through the process of trying to sell it, are they going to be responsible as well for paying this fee?
We as a municipal government cannot charge another municipal government a fee if they declare it exempted county park property. If they are a development that they're trying to make money on and trying to resell it, then we would have an option to have a discussion with them saying, if you're trying to make money on this lot, we have an assessment against this lot, you need to pay the assessment.
Well, we see so much development taking place around. There's lots of land, even in the back of Sun Lake, that hasn't even been touched yet.
Yes.
So somebody owns that land, whether it's a private person or if it's the county.
Most of it is private.
Most of it's fine.
You'd be surprised how much the county really owns within Sun Lake Band. They had a large chunk for at a point in time a few years ago. That's been all sheriff's sale. I would be remiss to say that they probably have less than 20, 30 parcels that they own right now that they're still trying not to sell. It is not a large fortune. We're mostly owned by individuals, out-of-staters, developers that just haven't had the time to develop.
Ma'am, I just want to mention that the last 3 years, I think the county has sold over $8 million of property here in Sun Lake. So,
When they have so many lots, then they run an auction.
but we have, it's hard to believe that $8 million worth of property has been sold and back on the tax that we didn't have before.
And also on our assessments.
Yeah, the
And
assessment.
paying our assessments.
Okay.
I mean, there is some positives about all this, but it's,
We're trying to find the positive.
Carl Anderson, 4707 Caltrans Avenue. The question I have is about this water treatment whole thing. Is this due to the expansion of the new developments, or is this due to lack of maintenance in the past? Because we're seeing a lot of problems that are occurring because of past lack of maintenance, it seems, especially on Summer Lake Boulevard, and around that area.
I wouldn't say lack of maintenance, it's just we have an aged plant that's hit 50-year life cycle. We've invested money, many boards before us, leaders here have invested millions of dollars into our plant, but they're just built at a certain capacity. And while we're not at max capacity right now, they will reach that very quickly with whatever's being developed right now. So it's a combination of we need growth, we need to address future growth in a short window, as well as the state will, in their permitting process, there will be a point in time where the state will not permit our wastewater plant because it's either aging, decrepit, not in need of repairs, and then we would have a discussion with the board of let's throw $5, $10, $20 million at fixing a plant that has no more capacity than it has tomorrow.
Now, is this just for water treatment or is this for?
This is wastewater treatment.
Wastewater treatment, is this also for, say, water buildup during the hurricanes or any of that going to be addressed in this as well?
So the combination, you're adding stormwater into there, the combination of water and stormwater, there will be some connectivity to this plant, this future plant, on our stormwater plant because of our swales and our stormwater pipes. We're also, part of the new technology we want is to use reclaimed water. So to the point about our water bills may increase, if we build a plant where we can produce reclaimed water, not for drinking, but for utilization for yard watering, municipal watering, golf course watering, then that could greatly impact a lower cost in water costs, because Florida then will say, you're not pulling it out of the ground, you're recycling it, you have a different rate structure. We could offer that in the future to a resident saying, hey, we are able to reduce water rates. So it's a combination of all that stuff, the storm, water, this plant is being built to accommodate for that, so we can interconnect into it for the benefit of all.
Right, so the question I have is how come this wasn't addressed before?
I think it's been on, I'll give you 4 months in the seat. It's been on the menu for a while. It's been bantered around. There's been a lot of work done when it comes to the Florida Water Association and that type of stuff. This board, previous boards. I think we're just getting the direction that this board has given me. We need to get this firmer and get out there with the financing, with the money. And I think it's just taken with a lot of turnover at this point in time, we're actually doing that now to put, pin bros on someone and say, get it done.
Yeah, well, the reason I'm asking that is we've been here before, just past hurricane season.
And we've addressed the problem over on Calatrava. We spent a great deal of money over there.
And we just recently had rain, we still have a little bit of flooding. We still need to get a little bit better.
Sir, if you have a monsoon, there's gonna be some water standing.
I understand
The
what you're
Calatrava
saying, but
has been taken care of, and we have gone through and we mowed all the swales. We have brought the maintenance back up. I can't guarantee you there won't be some more flooding at some point in time, but we are addressing it, just like the wastewater. That can was kicked down the road way too long. It's done. We've got to do something, and so it's, yeah, it's a lot of money, and I know it's gonna hurt, but we don't have any choice. We can't kick it anymore.
okay, so what I'm asking now then is from this point on, can we make sure we make it an endeavor that every year we sit there and we assess this and we make sure we're up to date?
It will always be assessed every year, because a lot of these people are gonna be changing up here, and every board has their own opinion.
All right, because, I've been sitting here since 2012, living here. I like it here, and I don't want to have to be moved because of this indecision.
I agree.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Lance Hoffman, and I'm speaking on behalf of my wife Dory as well. So I'm going to take up her time, that she would normally speak for this. We live on 3901 Cortez Boulevard. We're going to be really close to this plant. So I have prepared something here that relates to really all of your spending and all the work on this project. So I'm just going to read this on and off. Some of it you may have covered, some of it may be redundant. But I feel this is really, really important because this is such an important decision. Once you get this thing going, you can't turn the clocks back once you break the land. So standard preliminary planning of a project of this magnitude would certainly require certain assessments beyond the one the board is proposing financially and currently for our residents of Sunken Lakes. At a minimum, we'd like to see the following. I would like to see an environmental site assessment, to see what's going on. All of this is reflected in the amount of money that it's going to cost to do this plant, including effects on wildlife, gopher tortoises. We need any issues dealing with the National Environmental Policy, the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, and the Office of Water. any EPA Watershed Academy, it's a training you guys got, or that you looked at. This is a valuable tool for you to make responsible decisions on this project. I didn't know whether anybody might have had a web training certificate from this, but we believe that training and knowledge from the water, the EPA is vital in making decisions right now that we have by your board. Energy services company, you keep talking about money and you keep talking about things. I have some things in mind here because I've worked in this wastewater stuff. I've been on engineering firms, and it's not quite the procedure that I was used to for all of these years on how to go about an approach and getting your money and asking the state for money, the state revolving fund and all of this stuff. It wasn't quite how I had seen it work.
Excuse me, could you speak up a little bit louder, please?
I hadn't quite seen this type of process in all my years of working on wastewater plants and working for engineering firms proceed in quite this manner. For example, there's an ESCO, an energy services company you can go to. They provide a lot of services, one being financing a project through off-balance sheets, performance contract, shared savings agreement. I didn't see any funding that you guys have already started in the process of going about and doing. Normally, if you're gonna start a project and break ground by 27, our team of engineers who write grants would have a well-proposed plan, an approach. We would research this stuff. We'd be writing grants out all over the place to get this stuff and speaking with people. So I'd like you to provide a copy of the proposed stormwater pollution prevention plan for the plant and hydraulic assessment, including the stormwater runoff control, some flood forecasting, some probable maximum flood studies, water balancing model, climate and water set assessment, including all your statistics that you've used to analyze this, to find out what the true cost of what our plant is going to be when we get it in place. We can't just start this thing and say, oh, so, we're going to have to increase that a little bit. We got a little cost overrun here. We feel that the above issues would need to be addressed before any voting of a new plant could possibly take place. So what steps has the board taken to assure that this project can proceed as projected? Where is this information that you looked at and say, yep, this is, we can do this is what it's gonna cost? That was just one of the questions. Well, we do like the fact that there will be potentially, and hopefully this will become a reality, be incorporated in the RV, boat parking area, the community walking trail, bike trails, and charging platforms. And due to the massive area of impervious structures of the plant, reuse and conservative use of our groundwater resources is essential by the utilization of reclaimed water or the effluent. If it's treated properly. We would like to add a rain collection system because this is essential as well. It is good that an entrance on Palmyra Road will provide access during construction and afterwards for resident access. The idea of a new wastewater plant should be initialized without the end goal with the end goal of making it an income producing facility. I can't see building something if it's not gonna give you money back. We can do this, if we design this correctly, we should be able to provide a 15-year rate of return on our revenues generated by the plant. The process we have begun, in my opinion, seems to be unrealistic in the proposed time frame of completion. As I've said, in past engineering projects I've worked on, I served as a consulting engineer that had a similar projected time frame. But at this point, again, I'll reiterate, the engineers would have a good concept design, and a team of engineering grant writers would be submitting multiple grants, thus procuring all the necessary funding without the burden to be incurred to the Sun and Lakes residents. That burden would only be initialized after all other sources had been exhausted. I've already forwarded you guys a few emails
Thank you, sir. That is 6 minutes.
about some grants.
You obviously have all of that in writing. I would like for you
I
to,
got it all in writing.
I would like you to submit that to the district manager, and then we can go ahead and respond to it accordingly. But I've asked everybody to maintain comments to 3 minutes. We want to go ahead and double it.
Well,
So I would just ask you to go ahead and submit that in writing.
okay, well, that's what I was speaking through my wife and I, so.
Thank you.
But, I mean,
It's your time.
I got so much, funding information. Availability. But you just need to design a plan that makes money, okay? It's really easy.
That's okay.
And it's easy to do. You don't need to be spending money. What do I do this?
District manager. Thank you.
I just can't see, you don't need to spend money on this stuff. You can make money from products that you can make from it.
Go to the 50-year-old.
Good morning.
Good morning, my name is Joan Shoemaker, 5583 Matanzas. I have a couple things. One, if we're using well water on our existing homes, which most people probably are, where would the issue of water for irrigation come from this new plan? I don't see it. And I don't see how we can be charged for something that is not finalized. And the escrow situation when you sell, if I'm here 4 years and I've paid X amount, who is going to tally what would be deducted from a new owner since it's by parcel? That's important. And do we really need something that large? Is this going to include the original $50,000 Shoemaker Avenue fixed and paved? Is this gonna, that was $50,000, I think, in 2018, and the farmer said, my cows don't care if there's a paved road.
That's a separate issue.
Okay, oh, so this doesn't include any of that infrastructure rebuild?
No.
It doesn't, so Schumacher's gonna be the same?
Until we get done with the county. We are in discussions with the county on moving,
And what's the cost of that, close to $1 million?
don't know for
Or
sure.
no, okay. Well, what about the escrow? Who's gonna handle the transfer fees? That is not a seller's responsibility and a buyer's to make sure it's on a closing HUD. That's important, that's legal.
That'll be handled by the finance department, our finance department, because we do that for, we call it staples for all our transactions, real estate transactions.
Okay,
Our accounting department would handle that.
and they will be able to handle it since our assessment was incorrectly done
Yes, ma'am.
and was redone, and people on my street in their late 80s came and paid the one bill they received and didn't know because they don't have access to email or anything. We're told, well, they have to pay more. Come on, you guys. This is gonna happen to this too. I just don't see how we can be charged for something that is not finalized. And I don't think it's finalized. We've got a month to go.
Thank you, ma'am. That's 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any board comment?
Before you move to the motions, Mr. President, just in your packet, you have some of the graphics that we got, some overhead shots to give everyone a perspective. So you have here the location. This is Palermo, an undeveloped road right now. Granada is developed. The existing Schumacher, as you see there on the southern side. You see here a view from Schumacher, and this is where Cortez is. There's that large open space, then it goes to Palermo. This is again looking from Schumacher. Again, the plant itself would start from Palermo going to the west. our development firm, to the point of some of the commentary, we have started some initial work on this. This is not a pipe dream. We sat down with our engineer firm. They give some renderings here to give you the immensity, the enormity of this project, of what it's actually going to look like. So this view is from Schumacher, looking northwest. You see the proposed RV boat parking area that we would take advantage of. You see the new entrance off of Schumacher is a very similar road like we have at Ortega coming off Schumacher by the school. That's that sweeping road there with some parking. You see the walking trails, and then you see the plant, the new plant. Again, this is, don't hold this to this is the technology we're going to use. It's just conceptual rendering of what a plant would look like, and also the relocation of some of our water utility department and our wastewater department. So you see here again, a different view of the rendering. You'll see now how far it goes back. So basically from Palermo, working all the way to the west, very close to Balboa. And there's some wetland back there. You see that the greenery in the background. This project will take the front part of that for actual infrastructure, and then the settlement ponds and effluent ponds are way out there back in the west, as you see there. You see here a larger vision of the RV boat parking area option that we could put into this as part of the project, take advantage of that space. You see the Schumacher discussion there, and then Granada goes out to Balboa. Again, this is a southwest shot from Palermo looking down towards Schumacher. And now you're on Schumacher looking northwest basically. You're past the main infrastructure of the new plant structure. You're out towards the wetland area, that grass, that greened area on the far left of the slide here. There's the existing or a proposed walking bike path along the affluent area there. Utilization of the wetland area, and this is where we're asking for additional funds from the state, from environmental as well as park funding that we can get to augment this project. So we are in the stages of asking not only state money, federal, separate enterprises of a host of areas where there may be funding for solar, for energy production, for wetland utilization. So we're going through all those steps right now. It is obviously very difficult to explain that to residents because that's happening day to day in our office, in our discussions, and I see you all once a month. But you're more than welcome to come chat. We can show you where our discussion is going, and as I update the board and give them the information, we come to decision-making points. So basically, I mean, we're at the initial rendering to give you some concepts of what we're looking at, and this motion, if you move forward with it, we'll get the next step where I can get this to DEP and get the funding locked down. That's all I got, sir.
Okay. Any board discussion on double I motion? On the motion to approve an infrastructure special charge on all parks of $2,700 paid over 15 years at $180 per year or paid off in one payment. The district will offer a 15% discount of $405 for $22.95 if paid off in 2024. The charges will also appear on the monthly utility bill to afford various ways to pay this charge off. I think I would also add to that vacant lots will also be assessed.
It says all parcels.
No, we cover all parcels. That's right, got it. Okay. All right, any discussion? Need a motion to approve? Motion.
Second.
Call vote.
Supervisor Phillips?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Norton?
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
President Herrick?
Yes. On the second part, the discussion and motion to approve the proposed triple I, motion to approve the wastewater treatment plan financing plan dated November 28, 2023 for submission to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, DEP. Any board discussion? Any public comment on triple I?
This is specifically that 3-page document, the Excel sheet that rolls it out 20 years. That's the plan we owe DEP. They need to see where our logic's coming from.
We have to show them how we can pay for it. Need a motion to approve?
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Call the vote?
Supervisor Gilpin,
Yes.
Supervisor Norton,
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks,
Yes.
Supervisor Phillips,
Yes.
President Herrick.
Yes. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item is a discussion motion to approve the proposed 2024 budget amendment, attachment E. And Bob, you want to walk through
So
that?
you have in your packet a few documents, and I apologize if it's a little overwhelming. The team, we've looked at the numbers from our current budget for 2024, and then we've looked at our year-end budget from golf, restaurant, utilities, and the general fund. And after doing the closeout in September, there was a clear understanding of we're in a pretty decent financial position, but we're not taking full advantage of where our funds are laying, what accounts they're in. So I tried to very simplistically paint this in the document that all our residents got, you all approved, this one pager that in black is what we approved back in August. That's the number that we thought we'd end the year with, the number that we thought would roll over, the numbers in our expenditures and so on all the way to the end of the year. Once we did our September accounting, this is not the audit, this is just our accounting with the end of September numbers. We had some changes that you're being presented here in red, hence the budget amendment. So we ended the year because of a large amount of insurance payoffs, a large amount of FEMA money that finally came in, a large amount of holding our developers accountable for paying the fees, lot clearing, house occupancy fees. There was a kind of a lax environment, I'll say, in a lot of that. We've ratcheted them down, and we've collected close to $700,000 to $800,000 in past due fees that our developers were kind of let to go rogue for a little bit. So we reeled them in. And all of that combined, that we basically ended the year with $5 million more than we expected. That's great news. What we have done, though, the recommendation in this budget amendment is we're not just going to roll that money over and it gets lost in the sauce of our expenditures. My recommendation is we want to extract about $2 million of that and put it right into our strategic reserves. So that's part of the amendment. And that's where you see the number of the lot box towards the bottom. So we extract that money. So now in our operational accounts, our liquid accounts that we use to write our checks every day with, we're going into the year with about $4.1 million. We have all the same expenditures. We didn't change anything with what we're thinking we're going to spend in this fiscal year. You see that at the end, your total revenue that we will either generate or roll over gets close to $16.8 million at the end. And then we have our operating expenses, our special projects. The increase in special projects are the two large end-of-year projects that we got hit with. The final replacement of Columbus and all those repairs from the hurricane. That was a project that's in the $400,000 range. And then the work that's happening on Sunlight Boulevard that we're wrapping up this week of the replacement of 50-year-old PVC water lines and raw water lines from our wells. So those two projects at the total ends the year up with about $700,000 in additional special projects. You see the new total expenses. You see if all goes well in our budget scrutiny throughout the months with our departments, we will end the year with about $3.3 million in our check register. We will then roll over our $6.3 million in reserves. So we will start next fiscal year in budget time with about $9.6 million, and then it all begins again. We have a new budget, we have new assessments, and so on and so forth. So we're in a great position. The budget amendment shifts some of this money into some interest-bearing accounts. What we were, what I'll call not taking full advantage of as a district we had a good chunk of money sitting in our general fund, our operational accounts, but it was not gaining any interest. So we were losing money right there.
Thank you for coming.
So, part of this is this $2 million, we're moving in from non-interest bearing accounts and putting them straight into 6% interest bearing accounts. Automatic increase in our funds for the district. So we're gonna do some shuffling around there. We're also going to restructure some of our amendments identifying some of our funds. We're restructuring our reserve funds and giving a specific, what I call a nomenclature, a name to them. So it's very difficult for either this board or future boards or future staff to kind of play the shell game with the money. It's basically the money we fenced off for a reason, that's what the reason should be. So in this, the scenario here is we have a fund that we are going to call the district strategic reserve. By state law, we need to have 70% of our operating expenses in there, and that should not be touched. That's about $2 million. So that's gonna be named that. So anytime someone put their hand in that cookie jar, you understand you're dipping in the district strategic reserve. We're also gonna create an emergency fund line, which is specifically just for that. That's about $1 million. So what this gives us all is the ability that we have 3 months of operating revenue in reserves for any emergency. That we can address and address quickly and have the money to do that. And then the next major change is in one of our funds, our capital funds, rather than just have a big bucket of money, I want to peel that out into 5 categories: equipment, buildings, subsurface, recreation. So those are the 5 categories that within the CIP reserve fund, we will start funding those 5 categories. So if we ever need to build a building, to buy a truck, I have a designated fund site that we populated, and it actually automatically rolls over each year. Instead of the budget ends, poof, it disappears in September, and on 1 October, we would have to reallocate money towards it. But if we put it in a capital improvement reserve fund, it automatically rolls each year and gives the ability for this team, as well as you all, to say, we need a truck, there's the money, spend it, we're done. Doesn't affect assessments, doesn't affect the general fund, the check register, because it's already fenced off money. So it's really kind of just designating some of our money and moving it into them, and all those accounts produce 5.5 to 6% interest, an immediate gain for us as a district. And then there's a small change in some of the budget amendment that we fenced off about $300,000 for the wastewater plant, but it wasn't applied towards a fund line item. So we've created in these reserve funds the infrastructure wastewater plant fund. That money, as well as any future money from special assessments, from the $15 charge, the $2,700 charge, however that's paid, over time that gets collected, put into this account, and on there, your spreadsheet, that's that line item that says the wastewater fund. That's the one that keeps building, gaining interest, and gives us as a board, us as a team here, the flexibility to relook those numbers every year immediately and do slight adjustments to the plan, either give back money, ask for more money, whatever we need to do. So that's really what this first budget amendment is. We're not asking to spend more, we're not asking to reallocate. I'm just asking to move some money to some different buckets so we can take full advantage. And that's what's in the 3-page document in your book, your packet. I apologize, it's a little convoluted, but we're having to work with our accountant to figure out what's the best way to lay out a budget amendment. And I'm not satisfied with what I've seen previously. I've had a discussion with some of the supervisors, so it's going to take us some time to tweak that product. But at the end of the day, I hope I explained it as best as I could.
Yeah. Well, my only comment is that this is all great and I agree with it. But the money has to go someplace and has to be, this board has to spend it. And we've done this before. I've been here 8 years, and there's been money spent that the board didn't know about. And that's what I want somehow. I'm going to be gone soon, but I hope that you put in there somewhere that this board, whether I agree with it or not, has control of that and spends it the way they think it's best. And that's my only concern.
Well, and the amount of time that I've been here, and that's 4 years now, I don't know of any money that we didn't know about that was beyond the ability of the general manager. The general manager has the flexibility of spending $25,000.
Yeah.
And if that's deemed appropriate by the general manager,
Yeah, but
then he
that's,
sends that. But anything
You
above
answered it by
that is
saying
approved
you-
by us, and I'm saying that that hasn't happened in the 4 years that
well,
I've
it
been.
has, and,
Well, I don't
but
agree.
I'm not
I
gonna say
disagree
no.
with you. I disagree with you. And that's the wrong image to be sending out for this time zone. Moving on.
Tell the truth.
That, Mike, if you don't document it, I want to see it in document. Okay, thank you.
Hey, sir, I got it. We've had these discussions. We are pretty transparent and forthcoming. Every month you see the actual expenditure sheets. You see anything over 25,000, I have to get a board approval on those. Hence what you're seeing every month. I know it's regurgitating a lot of stuff, but it's forcing for you all to see that if we spend it, you either approved it or I'm asking for permission to approve it.
I understand.
So we'll continue to do that, and trust me, with this team here, every month when those treasury reports come out, and by department, we sit down and to a gnat's ass, we're going through them, and I'm figuring out why you spent this much, why are you doing this, do you need more, do you need less? We're having those discussions in-house, because that's why you hired me. So that's happening.
Very good.
Any public comment on the motion to approve a budget amendment?
Just a question. Is this on the?
Is it on the?
It's in the packet, yes, sir. It's on the packet on the website, yes, sir.
Yeah. Any other public comment? Board comment? Need a motion to approve the budget amendment as presented.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Call the vote.
Supervisor Norton? Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Phillips?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
President Herrick?
Yes. Next is a discussion to offer a multi-lot fee reduction to any contractor who is requesting to apply for over 10 land clearing permits at one time. It's generally $150 per permit. This is recommending a 20% reduction in fees. Attachment F. Ross, run that?
Yeah, in the purview of the general manager, we have the ability, I have the ability to waive certain costs and fees. I wanted to bring this to y'all's attention. I'm highly recommending this because it's a cost-saving measure on our part for staff work. We have 2 to 3 developers that come to us with large swaths of land that they would like to do all at one time. And right now, we're nickel and diming with, this is a lot clearance fee, this is the other fees and so on. This is all for just lot clearance. What this gives us the ability to is when a developer comes in the door and says he's got 20 lots, he wants to clear cut and whatever he needs to do for preparations, we're able to do it all at one time with one permit. We get the paperwork done. My one-person deep staff that handles this can handle that all and get the right posting and documentation done. And our perk back to the developer for him to give us all that money up front is to take off $300 off a fee that would be close, over $10,000, $12,000. So highly recommend it. It's an efficiency measure on our part. It's quasi cost saving for the developer, but it forces them to action projects quicker and not slow roll some of this land clearing, because then they can bring their equipment, they knock it all at one time. We're aware of it. We can track it. We put the right signage up. We're checking with the county on do they have the right permits. It streamlines our end of the management of it extremely. And this is kind of the perk back to them that I'm recommending to get them to come to the table quicker with their checkbook. So we're just asking that if you all are concurrent, don't need a motion. If you're in concurrence to offer this reduction, we'll change that as a dynamic on the fee schedule. And the next time, which I think in January, we bring you the fee schedule with any other changes, you'll be able to approve the totality of any fee schedule changes, showing this as a potential reduction.
I'm just curious, what brought this up?
With our new permitting, Glenna, once she started going through the paperwork side of getting all the land clearing documentation that we need from these developers, she highlighted that in her discussion with some of these developers, they would rather do a larger chunk rather than one parcel at a time. So it was really just a discussion between our permitting person and finding an efficiency that would be helpful.
How many companies are we talking about?
This is, at the most we have is 3. Prominent, Southern, and possibly Hornet. The rest are not gonna do 10 at a time, so it's immaterial to them, they're still gonna pay the $150. And again, this is just for the $150 land clearing permit. If you start driving around Summit Lake, we haven't done this ever before in the past, you will see a blue permit sign on every parcel that has a land clearing permit. So if you see a parcel out there that has trees cut down, but no blue sign, they're in illegal action in the district. And then my code guys go to town on them, we reel them in, we get them to pay the past due fines, we get them legal, and then we put these signs up. These signs are only good for 2 years, and then after 2 years, they disappear, and then they have to reapply for a land permit, a land clearing sign, or to actually develop. And that's our mechanism between permitting and code enforcement to keep everybody above board.
Any other board comment? Would we like to have a consensus to proceed?
We want to get going.
Oh, yes. How about public comment? I'm sorry. And that's on the discussion to offer a multi-lot fee reduction to the contractor who's requesting to apply over 10 land clearing permits at one time. Okay. Consensus?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Makes sense. Okay, on item E is discussion and appoint of the 2023 Assessment Appeal Committee for the meeting on December 15th, attachment G. I do have a board member who's volunteered, Mr. Norton.
We've only received, correct me if I'm wrong, 1 application. We've only received 1 citizen, the name's on the chart there, that's recommending by our laws, our rules, we require at a minimum 1 citizen. You guys can appoint multiple if you want, but the recommendation here by our policy is a board member, our district attorney, the finance director, Coral, 1 citizen with the potential of a 2nd citizen. And then once we set the assessment team, we start looking at what comes in by the end of this month, and we start setting some schedules as presented on the slide there for them to look at those assessments and give you guys their recommendation for the 19th December board vote to either agree or disagree with the assessment appeals.
Do we have anyone out there that would like to join this assessment board for a meeting on December 15th? Okay. Any public comment concerning it? All right. Well, we appointed Mr. Norton, with district attorney to be named. Finance director is Coral, attending Glenn there. And evidently, unless, we still have until December 15th, so if anyone knows of someone that might be interested in sitting in on the assessment, please have them contact the district office.
Before we move on, how many, this is November 30th is the cutoff.
Yeah, we only have 12.
we've had?
How many?
I don't think we have any that came in. Am I right, Melissa?
Assessment
Any
appeals?
assessment appeals? No,
I haven't
none
seen
so
any
far.
So there's
No.
be a short meeting.
Maybe we should send out one more email saying.
It has been, and the forms are out.
The recommendation would be that you appoint Mr. Norton, you accept the nomination of that individual, and then we just lock that down today, because we only need 1 by statute. We don't need a second.
Do I have a motion to appoint Mr. Norton?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Any public comment? Call the vote?
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Phillips? Yes. Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Norton?
Yes.
President Herrick?
Yes. Good. Okay, next is a discussion and I don't know that we're going to be able to make a motion to approve a new legal counsel, but we want to talk about what's the how we're going about the criteria of evaluating for a potential new legal counsel.
So what we had is 7 submissions. I appreciate all the time and effort placed into the submissions by the law firms, ranging from local all the way to Winter Park, Sebring, West Palm Beach, and so on. We're conducting analysis. You have in front of you the spreadsheet that we're using for the analysis of the part of the RFP was a request informing all the councils that we would be evaluating these criteria, so they're aware of the criteria that we're looking at. You have a product in process right now. I had to send a clarifying RFI out, request for information, to all the firms. I got 2 that are still waiting on replies to specifically ask their ability to do liens and foreclosures and their ability to do litigation if we need it. The concern I had is that right now in the district for a few years, we've had 4 or more legal counsels doing a variety of things. We need to hire a counsel that sits right here and does everything for us. That's the goal. So that's where this next person, I want to make sure that what we select is someone that can do everything, at a fee, of course, but that can do everything that we require as a district, unless there's a conflict of interest, and then we will reach out to someone else. But that's the process. We're getting some references checked, as well as I'm going to be discussing with 1 or 2 of the higher end on that list. So if you look at that list, you have the criteria, you have how they stack against each other. In the bottom right corner, you see I've ranked them by how numerically they come out. And then that'll be what we're working on now when I get the final word of can they do those 2 things I asked, as well as some of the, I'm not really doing reference checks, I'm calling some of the references they posted and having a very short discussion with them about how this person engages and that type of stuff and so on. There's a range of the costs, as you see there, from a flat fee of $12,500 a month that does everything for us monthly, to a by hour. Everyone else is kind of by hour with an expectation that they'll come to meetings, they'll be available, that type of stuff. So that our current 2024 budget was for 175, but that's because I had 4 of them doing multiple things. So I'm working within that parameter that whatever one we get next will definitely be within our budget parameters, as well as moving forward, we should be able to address a true budget for our legal actions. I think we do have some of the attorneys here, and if they're willing to speak their case, I would offer we can take advantage of them since they came, and then that will give you guys the ability to have a discussion.
I'd like you to come up and introduce yourself.
Okay.
All right, I'm Becky Bose of the Bose Law Firm, and this is Garrett Olson of the Bose Law Firm, and Nancy Stuparich. And this is the team that would be representing you. And I just heard about litigation and foreclosures. Our law firm has been doing code enforcement litigation for Orange County since 1993. So for the last 30 years, we've been doing that. We are city attorney for 9 different cities, and we are county attorney for Okeechobee County. We're used to working in the heartland. Garrett, tell them what you are primary counsel for.
Good morning, the supervisors, staff. Garrett Olson, the Bose Law Firm. Currently, right now, I serve as general counsel for Bear Bay, which, much like Sun and Lake, is a special district over in South Dakota County. So we have a wealth of experience in special districts, specifically the litigation that comes along with that, some of the special issues that come along with interacting with the counties. You guys know your charter is in the Highlands County Code of Ordinances. So whenever there's a need to work with the county, as Becky said, we're currently the county attorney for Okeechobee County. So we understand all those issues very well. And if you guys have any questions, I'd love to take those. Otherwise, thank you so much for having us today. And hope you guys consider our proposal. Thank you.
Okay, I do want to mention something. We are the Strange Law Firm that does everything on a flat fee. all of our local governments, our county, the 9 cities we represent, hire us on a flat fee, which creates an arrangement where we are able to get involved with you totally and completely, because that way we keep you out of trouble. Our flat fee includes litigation. There have been, and Nancy used to be with a law firm, they charge by the hour. And, you know, if your clients get in trouble, you make more money. Our interests are aligned with our clients. We try to keep you out of trouble because we honestly try to keep out of court except for foreclosures, and then we know we're going to be in court, but we have done it for so long. And by the way, we also do code enforcement foreclosures for Monroe County, which they had heard about our great success in Orange County. And as you know, Monroe County's down in the Keys. Why in the world would they ever hire a Winter Park law firm to represent them? Well, because we do a good job. And we're very predictable. We're very comfortable coming here. We travel as far north as Bunnell up in Flagler County, and as far down south as Fort Myers Beach on the west coast. So we go all over the state. We love doing it. We love to travel. We love being a part of all of the local governments we represent. And I really hope y'all choose us. It was an exciting meeting. Y'all have exciting topics, which this is just our bread and butter. This is what we love. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't think we have another firm. So I would offer is that answered one of my RFIs. So that's good, but I would offer, if you all still are charging me with the actual hiring, then I probably need a few more days to get that feedback, to have some discussions. And then what I would like to happen is that on my authority, I hire this person before the holidays, we work through the holidays with some projects, and then I bring to you either in the December meeting or the January meeting for a vote that this will be the district attorney. Up until then, they're a contractor working for us for legal issues. But then your vote will make them the district attorney or the district counsel. I would offer that's a way to go, since we're not ready right now to do a motion for a vote.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
I have a question now. Are you comfortable where they're located, or if you have someone more local to us?
Yeah, that's a great question. My previous city, my attorney was not local. They came to everything we needed. They were a phone call away. I was very comfortable with that because of their accessibility. So part of the questioning I'm having with the ones that are ranking on our list is that exact discussion. If they get a text from me, how quick do they respond? If they get a phone call, how quick can we get an answer? Or I'm waiting days before someone says, oh yeah, I saw this. That's not going to be acceptable. So I don't need a guy sitting right down the hall from us, guy or gal, and just we need them accessible with immediate response as possible and with professional response in a timely manner. So that's what I'm looking at.
Okay. All right. Any public comment related to legal counsel? All right, moving on. Any add-on items? Petitions and communications?
None, sir.
Staff reports. And we'll start with Clubhouse Mike and Jimmy.
Good morning, supervisors and residents. I didn't realize it was that loud, I apologize. Couple of quick things. I know some of you guys have been on the golf course. We did have a couple stress greens there on the mend. One of the things we did find out during when they went south is that our computer was not communicating with them nightly for the water run. It's kind of hard. That computer's been here since we've had Toro irrigation. The computer froze up, was telling us every night that it was running, and it wasn't running. The only way we were able to figure it out was we dug in with Toro. We had to reboot everything, and fortunately, they had backup files for everything as far as our programs. It has been since fixed. We did our air to gas this week on turtle. We're gonna do air to gas next week on deer. We've done deer once already in the last 2 weeks. We solid timed those greens that were struggling. We're gonna top dress them tomorrow as well. We continue our foliar and our granular applications as well. It is not a fungus that's on those greens. We've spent probably upwards of $12,000 in fungicides in the last month, just to reassure that we weren't having any issues with those. We continue on our riprap. I'm sure some of you have seen what we've done on 14. Mike and I have rode the golf courses, and there's a couple of holes I know I'd like to put it on 5 and 14 on Deer Run as well. Some of the smaller ponds, we'll try to address that. Ray and I have discussed the berm on Columbus Boulevard, which I gave him a proposal for. We're going to try to get started on that and get that planted as well up in the next coming weeks. Other than that, we're just trying to work on our detail. For the most part, turtle is really good right now. The greens are really good. Like I said, the greens are on the mend. I try to get on them every day. And like I said, I don't like being in a situation no more than anybody else is, but I assure you that I will get them fixed.
What kind of a process are you going to put in place to make sure that the computer is working?
Well, now, every Friday, twice a week, I'm doing communication checks with them. So each morning I come in, that's part of my process, is to send out a signal to make sure that they're communicating with the satellites. It prints me a page report of all the satellites and gives me a report that they're communicating as well. And then also doing a visual inspection in the morning of whether the water's on the cart path, whether the bunkers are wet or dry. So we got to pay attention to all that stuff. You can't take it for granted. I mean, it's a computer. And it's unfortunate that it happened, but I promise you that we'll get them where we need them.
Jimmy, are you happy with the overseeing that was done this year?
I think the overseeing on the tees came in pretty good. Again, I mean, if you would like to comment, go ahead, Mr. Brooks.
I can see it on deer, I can't see it on turtle.
I'll look at it. I still have some seed left. They've not been pre-emerged. I mean, we definitely we can touch them up and dust them again. You know, of course, when there's really no excuse for the computer, like I said, but you know, deer get established a little bit quicker. We did that the prior week. If we need to dust them again, we'll dust them again.
Take a look at it.
Yes, sir. Anything else? Thank you.
All right, good morning, supervisors. Just kind of going through my report that I sent to you. I'll try not to make it as lengthy as last time, but just looking through the golf ops revenues from October, you can see that there's quite dramatic increase year over year in all those revenues, which is great, but I do want you to bear in mind that when you're looking at those, the prior year, we had Hurricane Ian, so we were closed the first 6 days, basically, in October. So although there's still a sizable increase year over year, it's a little skewed. So it looks a little better than probably. So I wanted to bring up the membership revenue on this because it shows it's 7% down year over year. Now, just remember that when the membership revenue hits the financials, it's all deferred revenue. So as it comes in, it gets spread out over the 12 months and hits every month financially. So it shows it's down a little bit there. That just means that the membership has come in a little bit slower than the previous year, if that makes sense. I don't know if Hurricane Ian had anything to do with that, where people came down right after the hurricane and checked their properties and then went ahead and started the membership early. It's a little hard to predict that year over year, but I did want to kind of ease your mind. I did run the report as of this morning, and it's quite substantially up year over year. It's over 5% up to date to this morning year over year. So that number should start to level off as we go throughout the year, and it should come back to budget. So
maybe during budget time, I should have asked, but why don't we just put it in where it should be, instead of over a 12-month period?
It's just always been done that way. I think that's pretty standard procedure in the golf course business. I don't think it has to be done that way.
The budget I did, it had to be where you think it's gonna be, so it's something we need to discuss.
Yeah.
We'll just discuss it next week.
That's fine.
You're talking October, you were up against a hurricane, but yet you still lost money.
Well, we didn't lose money, so you're referring to,
Unless I'm misreading this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In the restaurant, you lost $27,000 versus the year before $19,000.
So if you look at,
Against the hurricane?
so if you look at the numbers overall from one year to the next, so we were, October's plan, which those financials weren't on the report today, but if you look at those financials on the EBITDA line, which is compared to our budget for that month, we were ahead of plan by a little over $2,000, with the note that we were $7,000 short on our membership revenue for that particular
You
thing.
can't say your numbers were good because of the hurricane and then when they're bad because of the hurricane. I mean, you're talking, as my mother would say, out both sides of your mouth.
Well, not necessarily. So our revenue is definitely a lot higher year over year. I think it's actually inflated that it's higher because of the hurricane. So, or the revenue is much higher year over year, either way you look at it.
This is October.
Correct, that we're looking at October. But I do want you to note that when we look at the expense line, although it's in line with our plan for the budget, our expenses went up year over year according to what we budgeted. As far as.
But supposedly you charge the membership 5% more and you charge the outside play supposedly higher.
That is all correct.
I'm just saying, for October, it's very disappointing, in my opinion. I mean, you lost money last year, that's never acceptable, I don't think.
It's in line with the budget. The restaurant was in line with budget, the golf, everything was almost right on the money as far as budget goes, on the bottom line for either one of those. So, yes, it doesn't necessarily always compare year over year, but it is completely in line with what we had planned for that month. It's probably one of the cleanest months financially that I've had since I've been here. Minus, there's definitely a couple things on there that I wish we could have done a little bit better. I know our cost of goods could have been a lot better, and we probably could have done a little bit better in a couple label categories, but for the most part, it's right on plan. So, if you'd like to sit down and discuss it further, I'd be happy to.
Well, I'm just telling you my opinion on your performance, that's all.
Just to list a few events, I don't need to go through them all. You can see all the events we had and how they performed financially. We've already named all our upcoming events. Completed projects, we did get our new voice over internet phones in. We had a little bit of training we had to do and some cleanup we had to do. We had a couple of days where we probably missed a few phone calls, but I think we've gotten sorted through all of that. I think the team understands how to use the phones pretty good now. So on restaurant sales, so for all these, you can see all the percent increases of all of our revenue sales year over year. How many more, we served 1,100 more meals this year than last year. A lot of that, again, the restaurant wasn't closed as long as the golf course, so it was still seeing revenue during those days. But you can see on our expense side, obviously with more revenue, you're gonna see more cost of goods sold. Our labor did go up and our expenses did go up, but it did fall in line with plan. Couple upcoming events that I just want to make sure everybody's aware of. The MGA couples dinner on Saturday. It will close the restaurant. It will be closed for that event. We also have the Advent Health Christmas dinner that we've done for years. We had a couple years where we didn't do COVID, but they're back. That does close the restaurant as well. We do have our Christmas. We do close at 3:30 on Christmas Eve, and we're closed all day Christmas Day, which is the only day that we close throughout the whole year. We do have our New Year's Eve dinner event, as we normally do, and overall there's 27 total banquet events for the month of December. It's a really busy month for us banquet-wise, with a lot of Christmas parties. We do, on some days, we do up to 3 different events in one day for our Christmas party. So it is very, very busy. It slows down right around the week of Christmas, but early on, it's very busy banquet-wise. Something that's not on here, because it was not completed when I had to turn this in, was our Thanksgiving Day buffet. Revenue-wise, it did over $17,000, which is a 25% increase year over year. We did about 450 meals, which is 14% increase year over year. I think that's about all I got, unless you have more questions.
Mr. General Manager.
The only thing on general counsel, obviously we'll make a selection here shortly. The Avante is still pursuing, so we're owing Mr. Rhodes a few more documents and feedback, and then he'll have what he needs for that litigation. And the other litigation is going through the works as well with Mr. Sessman. So that's our only two outstanding legal actions that are moving forward. You have your GM report there, pretty cut and dry. The only thing I want to highlight, payroll, our employees were good. We just got, actually have no openings right now, so we're good on staff. And the only potential future hire would be in the security, as well as in our, what we're calling the estoppel. This is the person that helps with our title clearance documentation based on today's vote and some of the administration that comes with that. That person, we may bring on a part-timer for a few days a week to help with that packaging of those products. Because this is the person that from Sun and Lake works outside the district with title companies, banks, and so on. Very little inside Sun and Lake work, but we need a very dedicated person to do that. So I'll probably be looking at a part-timer and see if it needs to go full-time, but right now I think we're satisfied with part-time. And that'll happen in January more than likely. The water meter project will be 100% done with all the meters installed, the live meters, by the end of this month. So right now we're hovering at 3,700, that is complete. We're getting, as well as our residents are getting, live reads on the amount of gallons. So while it's probably a little bit eye-opening to our full-time residents that are seeing true usage of water, what it's actually benefiting as well as those individuals that travel, that leave for periods of time, where previously, up until now, we were doing an estimation, and they were getting charged for water when they're physically not here. With a live feed read water meter, they will actually just be paying the bare minimum charge and then no water usage, because we're able to account for that properly. So that's going to be a big change. Again, a great feature of this live read, these water meters, that has been very beneficial to some of our residents. We've had 25 water accounts that were showing a massive excess of leakage. Pools that are leaking, toilets that are leaking, that type of stuff. We're able to actually read that in-house right now within hours. We can see how much water is flowing, and it kind of doesn't make sense. There's an algorithm that tells us that. So we're able to reach out, and in this case, over 100,000 gallons of water was saved by us being able to engage a resident, say, you need to get this fixed. We'll shut the water off, get it fixed, and then get the water back turned on. We do not charge for the rehookup fees. This is a policy that we are doing as a district to account for proper water utilization and helping our residents identify if there's some problem areas within their plumbing system. So that's been a great benefit. We'll continue to see that number hopefully decrease as people start seeing the real use of water. We've gone live on our cameras, all the cameras in Sun and Lake. Right now there's about 40, and we're adding a few more across Sun and Lake that cover critical areas. They're all being not only read by our security department within the district office. There's a big TV set up for the staff to just observe a rotation of all these cameras. It gives us a great ability that if there's an event going on that we hear on radio traffic, we can walk to a camera, pick it up, and see what our either residents are dealing with or our staff is dealing with, and be able to engage appropriately from the district office with either police or additional assistance. So it's a great feature. Tied to that, the majority of the district vehicles are all GPS. It's been an underutilized system. It helps me with not only accountability, helps me with efficiency, and we're able to track all our district missions. So if I say there's 10 new water installs today, I should see my utility vehicles tooling around Sun and Lake, getting them done, and not all just hunkered down in one spot. and we're able to read that also within the district office. So it's really an efficiency and an oversight tool that we have live right now. The one online system that will be hopefully coming online this month is, we've heard a lot of feedback of, I don't use Facebook, I don't like email, the robocalls are killing me, send us a newsletter. Well, we're trying to address all those areas, trying to find better utilizations of those, but we're finding more and more people asking for, is there an app feature on my phone where I can get not only notifications from the district, not tied into my emails, hidden somewhere. I get like a little notification symbol and it tells you boil water, road closed, hurricane prep, whatever. So we're working through a company that deals with our code enforcement data, and they're offering an app that we should have online this month, a Sun Light app that will get messaged out to everyone. It's just another tool that everyone carries their phone with them, and we're not going to overutilize it with a lot of spam. It's really just going to be critical information that we as a district have to engage with our citizens on. And as well as there's a feature in there that if a resident sees the beer can sitting at the intersection, take a photo of it, send us a message, it goes straight to our code enforcement. Our security guys can engage by the simple use of a phone, rather than going back to a phone, calling, whatever they gotta do. So there's a lot of good benefits to it. It's just another tool in our kit bag that we can offer to our residents as well as our staff to utilize. And that should come online this month. We'll get all the messaging out where you just scan the picture, QR code, load it to your phone as another app, and then you take it from there. The one note that I want to just highlight, it was in the consent agenda, sir, but if you humor me for a second.
Yep.
We talked the end of year numbers. So this discussion, all my budget discussions I have with all the staff, all the departments, to include golf. They are not a separate entity, they are one of my departments. So just understand that in my assessment, when Mike and Jimmy provided me the end of year numbers, there's some discussions, there's some focus areas that I will be engaging with them specifically to some of these points here. And it's been a common theme that you all have driven as supervisors as well as residents. We need to see if we are at max capacity and efficiency in some of these areas. Pro shop sales, our payroll. And we need to put a critical eye on some of these areas, not only from their seats as intermediate managers, but my seat as the general manager. I will take a hard look at some of these numbers, and if I need to engage at a certain level, I will engage. And they're aware of that. We have these discussions budget-wise. So we're looking at some of these areas when it comes to what we may bring back to you. Right now, there's a membership conceptual goal. We like to get X amount of dollars of new membership revenue. We may be at a point in time where, like we do with my pool, pickleball, tennis courts, what's the goal for members? A numerical goal that we need to strive for, because that helps me with marketing, messaging, getting information out, finding out the replacement of members that are either leaving us, getting out of their memberships. How do we do that? Rather than just a nebulous number of $20,000. Because I can make $20,000 up with 3 new members, and then we're done. We don't need to be done. We need to be consistently looking how we expand that pool for longevity reasons. So that may be something I might bring to the board where it's a numeric goal, and then these guys have a hard number they can go for in people, bodies, rather than just someone's wallet. So that's something we'll discuss. The cost to a non-golf resident to support the club. Again, this is one of these urban legends that just got legs all the damn time. And it's getting irritating because the fact is we have a revenue producing entity, i.e. our golf/clubhouse, that produces $4 million plus a year. It costs us less than that to operate. I cannot speak to anything that happened in the past. Don't own it. I own it from July 27th onward. I own it now. I can't speak to decisions made by anyone at this table or that table or in the audience. We will make the right decisions, recommendations from my CTO for moving forward, how we, if at all, as an entity, supports those departments, if need be. You'll get the pluses and minuses and how we need to do it. But I look at those two departments kind of like a utility. They are a revenue producing entity that should be self-sufficient and should require a minimal amount of support, minimal. But does everyone in Sun and Lake should contribute to a well-groomed, efficient clubhouse that makes money? That's a yes, that's why you chose to live here. But is that in the effort of $5 a year part of your assessment? Is that $100 part of your assessment? That's the number that I owe you guys to explain to our residents. Your contribution to the atmosphere of a golf course and clubhouse is X amount of dollars built into your assessment. That's everybody, golfer, non-golfer, member, non-member. That's the goodness of Sun and Lake, why people come here. Why there's a big golf ball on our damn envelope that sits at the end of 27. That's why they come here. That's the environment we want. A well-operating, smooth, good-looking golf course. And that proves values up. Does a non-golfer have to pay the same as a member? Of course not. Nor should we expect that. But there should be a small contribution as part of the assessment towards that. Right now, it's hovering in the $10 of your assessment. If you got a lot or a house and you don't play golf, about $10 of your assessment money goes towards the golf community, the grounds, the clubhouse, having a restaurant a few yards away from your house. That's about the average. That's pretty acceptable in the world, all right? But it should have increased more than that? Probably not, because that's why we have members. That's why we have external golfers that come here and utilize our resources. So those are the numbers that I look at working with the team over here. And bottom line, it's producing. We ended the year with close to $250,000 in extra revenue. We are going to reinvest that revenue into recreational, our account that we just created today, for future either golf course maintenance, building maintenance. It could be pools, could be anything with recreation. We're going to lump it in there, and we're going to move forward with that, and I will manage that. But definitely working with Mike and the team over there, they know I'm eyeballing the pro shop. They know I'm eyeballing the cost of goods. And you should be able to, as a resident, a golfer, a non-golfer, a person that lives in Sun and Lake, or an outsider, be able to come sit in our damn restaurant, have a damn good meal for a damn good price, and have a great atmosphere. And you should be able to do it anytime you want. And we should be competitive with the greatest restaurants around us here for an hour's drive. We need to get to that point. It costs some money to get to that point, but we need to get to that point. We need to have the right ambiance, we have the right setting, the right servers, excitement, and staff to do that. And that should migrate into great roads, great pools, great playgrounds, great stuff. Guess what? It goes to a centerpiece community of Florida. That's what we are. You don't put crap in the middle of your table of the centerpiece. You have the best thing in the middle of your table as a centerpiece. And that's what we need to be. So, sorry I'm getting worked up about it, but I know these guys hear it every day, is that we do not live in mediocrity. We are the best. We are the centerpiece. We will be the best. All right? So I will just.
Can I make one comment on
You
that?
go right ahead.
You know,
I don't know how you can follow that up. Go ahead.
I mean, I play golf several times a week, and we've had this conversation before. When you walk into that restaurant at a certain time, say 4 o'clock, it doesn't look like a restaurant, it looks like a bar, and it acts like a bar. And the people who come in to dinner are like, not treated the way I think we would like to see them treated. We do the best we can under the circumstances, but it's a restaurant first, not a bar for golfers who want to come in and drink after they're out. And we've had this conversation. December's not a good month, but certainly in January and the other months of the year, there's nothing wrong with taking all the golfers and putting them into the other room.
Agreed.
And leaving the restaurant to be the restaurant. So I'm going to throw that out on the table again, because I think it's very important. I feel sorry for people who come in for dinner and sit within 10 feet of us, because we're loud and obnoxious.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're just not giving them a good experience in the restaurant. So I'm just throwing that out, because I think we have to address it eventually.
Good, great comment. Appreciate it. Yes. More to follow. That's all I got on the, unless you have a question on general manager's report, it's pretty cut and dry. We're plugging away. Finance is good. Staff's great. We got a lot of projects in the queue. Sunlight Boulevard should be finishing up this week with asphalting, and then we're moving forward. And then the FEMA project should be finishing up on Columbus, probably 10 days out.
I've got some questions.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Just On the critical needs, you said we need a shoring box for deep digs.
Yeah.
And a well point system for boring. We have any idea what we're talking about?
So once you go past 4 feet, there's some OSHA requirements that come into play. And where we were able to accommodate or account for that on Sun and Lake with the large contractor, they were able to expand the hole width-wise to eliminate the need for shoring boxes. They're expensive. When we do a project for a local hookup, we go down, 5, 6 feet in some cases. We need those shoring boxes. They're probably a $10,000 cost.
Oh, okay.
It's a maneuverable thing that my guys have. We get to a site, they dig the hole out with the excavator, pop in these things, and then they're safe in case of a collapse. So that's the shoring box. The well point is exactly what you saw on Sun Lake Boulevard. You saw a big long pipe that had a bunch of, spaghetti coming out of it. Because of our water table, we need a well point that sucks the water out of your dig site, otherwise you'd have a flood. We need the same at our projects when we do a smaller project in our subdivisions here. It's probably 10 feet, not this long 100-foot thing that we had out there. It's a smaller thing that our guys would install, and again, when we dig, it just draws that water out of the pump. So again, it's probably in the $5,000, $10,000 range. So these are things operationally utilities need. Right now, we're having to rent, and that's just ineffective for us. We should just own them and use them for many years.
Okay, on your code enforcement that you reported, I assume it's just a typo, right? Instead of 2024, it should be 2023 or 2?
You mean the general manager reports?
Yeah, page 7. I assume that's just a typo, it should be 2023.
No, yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. And then when you report the golf and the restaurant numbers on your report, are you referring, which month are we in?
This will be from September. This is the September.
So this is, when you report these,
This is the official report filed by golf, so maybe 30 days behind until we get on sync.
if you would add what month these pertain to?
I got you. Sure.
That would help.
Yep. Got it.
And I think I have. Oh, on facility rentals?
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 community center rented, or 2 times it was rented, and we got no revenue at all. I'm just curious as to why.
They pay in advance. So they may have paid for those rentals in previous months.
I'm sorry?
They would have paid for the rentals in previous months. They don't pay on the date of the rental. They pay in advance.
I could see where that's confused. Yeah, they may have paid 2 months ago, and that was accounted in that. But we can figure a way to display it.
I think, I'd like to see, if they go down as renting, how much they pay for it.
Nah, I got you, sir. We can fix that.
So these people paid for it, even though I know one of them didn't. What can I tell you?
We'll dig into it, sir.
I don't know what you're
Their numbers would have been revenue for 2023, that's why it's showing at 0, otherwise it would change. But I see your point, we'll get it.
That's all I got.
You're over 25 expenditures, we're on track with everything you all have approved, either with the budget of last year, or this year, I should say, or some of the interim approvals. We had a lot of expenditures over 25 based on the Sun Lake Boulevard and other projects, but they were all under a board vote, so everything within parameters of our policies.
Wait, on that one?
Yeah.
The next to last listing, KDL Underground and Development, that $104,000 is not explained at the bottom. If you add up what's at the bottom, you're $104,000 short of the 702.
Gotcha.
Only I heard this.
I know you do. You're a good man for doing it too. Yes, sir. That should be added to that 350 number because that was part of the board's emergency vote. So yes, that's part of the repair.
So that's part of the Ferguson
It
enterprise?
should be the KDL Ferguson pipe repair. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. So no issues with your 25. Your Sun Lake, again, we should be asphalting this week. The pipe's about to get connected at the plant to the north there. This is a very general number of what it costs for these legs, all the way from the well station to the south there to 65K as we roll up across Sun Lake. Again, we expected 400, 450, based on the numerous questions or issues we've been bringing up. We really are going to be hammering this with our county friends of how much red tape is included with our county when it comes to their permitting that we're not aware of. We gotta sort that out because we either need to take ownership of it, which their staff is acceptable on. I need to get that before the county commissioners to see if they can just extract it from the county charter and give that power to us. Because when we think we want an easement, and that easement is what we think's in there, but once we dig it up, there's a host of things in there approved by the county that we knew nothing about because they approve permits. That's bad. And we can't, that's what costs us more money. So that's why the excess there. But at the end of the day, we may see some credit from the state for the asbestos line pipe that we extracted. There's a program where because of we get rid of some of that, they give us a reimbursement of something. We're pursuing that. But for the most part, it was just addressing 40-plus-year-old PVC that was shattering. If you see on that lot down Sun Lake to the right, there's a large pile of some of the PVC. As soon as that hits sunlight, you could go up there with just pushing on it, it would start shattering because it's just old PVC built 40 years ago, and that lifespan was only 20 years at that time. So it was well needed, well deserved. It's going to greatly improve our water, raw water, as well as our water feeding Sun Lake, and we'll continue with these type of projects moving forward.
As I know we've talked about it, but do we have a plan to replace one?
We do. So in this year's budget, there's a Florida Avenue project that we need to replace, and I'm working right now on how we can continue the replacement of the asbestos from Ponce all the way to 27. But the challenge we have there is all those businesses are fed from Sun Lake.
Yeah.
So we're going to start doing behind the property connections off of the community behind there. Once we run them new lines of new PVC, then I'm able to shut down that entire large 12-inch main, replace it, and then reconnect them that way. But because of the businesses there, it's and they're all doctors, it's a lot more, we don't want to be that intrusive. Even if doing it on the weekends, a lot of them still work on weekends. So that's the next major project is Florida. You all approved that in the budget. But the biggest thing is moving forward is Sun Lake asbestos, get rid of that.
Yeah, well, I think we need to do something.
Sure.
Just to show like that one gentleman that talked, that, why is this all happening right away? Well,
I got you, sir, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The road painting, this is just situational awareness, don't need approval. It came up, we have the equipment, it's a push behind machine that we can do it. We need to just get a more clarification across the district of what we're going to paint. So my intent is all the speed bumps will be appropriately painted, not only the bump, but coming and going from the bump. Trying to avoid a lot of these signs. If you put the markings on the ground appropriately, it draws your eyes to it. You don't have to clutter the street with all these dip signs and all that stuff, especially for our subdivision. But also our cart paths, we've got about 6 of them, 3 main ones, but there's a few others that we just need to spotlight more for safety reasons. So we're gonna put some heavy marking on them, treat them like a speed bump. The path will be marked, also coming and going from the path will be highlighted to give some safety for those people crossing those areas and to keep them on those areas. Stop signs, the neighborhood streets, we're gonna stay away from any center line because of the size, as well as sidelines. Unless I guess if I get a collection of the HOAs that say we want painting, then I'll bring that to you all and we'll see if we need to do that. Other than the boulevards where we're required to have some painting, I like to stay away from any of the hard line painting. We are doing an initiative with the county where there's a fluorescent type paint that can be used. It has about a 15-year lifespan, but for some of our more desolate areas, let's talk Columbus, Menorca, that type of stuff, this is a paint that the sun, Florida, sun, it charges during the day, and then at night, it'll be a fluorescent read for safety reasons on the side of the road or the center line. So we're gonna do some testing of that in the back 40 and do some assessment of that. And if it's a value, we may see that on some of our other boulevards to help with our street lighting as well as illuminate the road a little bit for safety reasons.
Speaking of painting, how are we coming with our project which doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
And well, it's plugging away. It's when we added the factor of blanking out, the warranty. There's steps, the warranty from Sherwin-Williams. There's steps that the painter has to stop, wait for this certified person to come, check everything, give it the okay, and then he moves on to the next step.
All we've done is the car wash.
Yes, sir. We car barns, he's pressure washed clubhouse. So we're ready to go into clubhouse this month. So that'll happen. And then our guys are gonna do all the outbuildings as well as the signs and some. Our
Is
guys,
this building included?
this is included, yeah. After the district office, they come here. So we're hoping in this December, no later than January, the next 3 big buildings get all done. And then for the most part, the contractor's done, then our guys are doing the smaller paint jobs. So that'll correct.
So this has been going on for a year and a half.
Well,
Well, I know it's only.
We only approved it, we only got the contract 2 months ago.
Understand that.
Yes,
Is this pretty standard? I mean, I was gonna ask.
it is because of the warranty. If we didn't want the warranty to give us a guarantee that if it starts peeling, I can call Sherwin-Williams and hey, send the painter to paint it. Yeah, it could have been done last month. And then it could have flaked off and then I'd be coming to you, I need $10,000 because the crap paint's coming off. So that's the challenge.
It's really something the way that.
Yes, it is by no means the contractor. Contractor's spot on, he's doing it, but he's got to call Sherwin-Williams, they come do their thing, and then it's back and forth, so.
Okay.
I think it's 9 on me, I apologize. What do you got next?
Fireworks.
Fireworks. This was again brought up as a. This was a discussion brought up by some citizens in your packet. The concern moving forward with the New Year's coming up. There's very minimal rules, not only district-wise, but with our county of restrictions on fireworks. The county will only respond if it's a safety issue and if they totally disregard a sheriff telling them to stop. It takes a few steps to get there. So my discussion with the sheriff is that if we want to, as a district, for the 3 nights that are approved by the state of Florida, if we want to get a sheriff on call, then that individual will work for us for the night, be able to respond immediately if we get a call from security saying, someone's blowing fireworks and they're going over my house and they're causing damage and they won't listen to me. Then that sheriff is working for us. He can respond, either cite them, or worst case scenario, arrest them. But then it's controlled by us. So we will put some messaging out of what's allowed, what's not allowed. We will get the word out now before the New Year's. We're not restricting fireworks. There's only 1 or 2 illegal fireworks that we will say you cannot use. And that can be checked by the sheriff when he gets on scene. But the only recommendation I would have is for those few nights, those 3 nights in the county, is we hire a sheriff for that 3-4 hour window. He works for us. He sits in our office. He works with security. They're immediately patrolling. So if we get a call, he can immediately respond, do a citation there. And usually if the sheriff's going to show up, they're going to shut down or fix whatever the problem is.
What is considered legal and non-legal? Are those rockets?
There's only 2 large diameter, there's an actual name for them, I apologize.
Mortars.
Yeah, mortar systems. There's only 2 that are state illegal. Everything else is basically illegal that you can buy at the Walmart or whatnot. But there are a few that a expert, the sheriff department's trained on. They'd be able to go and say, no, that you can't use that. Stop.
What about time?
Well, we can, as a community, restrict the time window. And that would be something that you guys need to think of, that we're thinking there's a between 9 to 1 in the morning window that you're allowed. We just need to message that properly, get it out to everyone. But that's about the limit. We can't say you can't do it. You can say that on district property, and we will say that. You can't show up to the clubhouse, the
What
park.
about going out in the middle of the fair and setting off rockets? And scaring
No,
the
they can't. That's district property. No, man. We would immediately send either sheriff or security out. We're not allowed to do that. District property, we immediately say you cannot use any fireworks, and that's allowed. And we'll get that message out. It's really the window for people that want to shoot them off in their front yards or their empty lots.
Okay.
And making sure that they're aware that we will have security and a sheriff on call if you decide to not abide.
Well, I think the sheriff on call would be a good idea.
I do too.
It's a cheap insurance policy, it'd be a couple $100 for the night, and then they work for us. You can't just say, unless there's a countywide emergency, he's gotta go somewhere, they work for us for that window of time.
And I don't think we can put a time limit on it. I think people are gonna do what they wanna do anyway. I mean, if you say 1 o'clock, hopefully everybody's in bed by then, but you know, some people are gonna still be doing it.
Sure, yeah.
So I just think the sheriff is.
But then we could send somebody else and tell them to shut it down.
Well, to have the sheriff.
Yeah, but 9 to 1. I think after 1 o'clock, there shouldn't be, according to being an old fogey that I am.
20, 30 years ago, you'd probably say that's early.
30 years ago, him and I were doing it.
So basically, other than messaging, I hear you, do we want consensus on a time frame, or you want me to bring that back to you at the next meeting before the week, the fourth?
The first something you guys can handle.
We'll handle it, okay. And we will hire a sheriff for that time period. And we'll get the word out to everybody. We're doing a mailer out this month, we'll get the word out to all the parcel owners. The 50th anniversary, next year it is. We got a committee of a couple citizens, one that helped with the county's 100th birthday, volunteered, she lives here. So I'm gonna put together some ideas of what we would like to do to make this a big deal. It is a big deal, 50 years. Hopefully some of us are here for the next 50. But there's some ideas here that we're trying to flesh out and see if we can do, starting in January, that it's a continuous little celebration, everything from inside the clubhouse, special meals, to special events that we host. The actual date's April 16, 1974. That'll be a weekend event that we can try to maybe do a special golf tournament, a special dinner dance, something, and juice it up to make it a big deal. But as you see, there are some ideas here, and I will bring this back pretty much on a monthly basis, give you an idea of what we're doing. We'll highlight the events. There may be, if we were trying to get some sponsors for some of these, for some of our businesses, there may be a small financial cost of this, but we already have some money in our community service budget. But there's more to follow on this, but again, this is just for you guys to get a sense of what we're going with on this. Any comments?
Good.
All right. This is a list of, in your packet, the major events that's planned right now. But these are just regular ongoing events to include the
Boss, where's the Christmas tree that we're gonna light?
yeah, that's a good question.
Where is that?
So we placed a Christmas tree on the island. It's,
On the island?
yeah, it's not as overwhelming as I would expect. There is a tree right outside the district office. It's not a real Christmas tree, but it looks like a Christmas tree. I'm gonna get my guys to get some decorations, put some lights on it. That may be the district tree. It looks like it's in a good central location. Everybody drives by it. It's more exciting. It's more exciting than what we got on the island. But we're pretty much 90% done the decorations. We're gonna change a few things. We saw some at night, some shortfalls we had. All the entrances, we will have some decor on, south side, north side, center, Sunlight Boulevard. Of course, our clubhouse and this building and so on. And we're gonna amp it up a little bit to be a little bit more in your face. It's a holiday season, we should do what we should do. But the Christmas tree right now, for this meeting, I'd say, let's plan to do it outside the district office. We'll juice up that tree that's right there, we'll get some decor on there. And then that'll be the 16th. 16th will be the day we'll have an official tree lighting for that ceremony.
Where it was.
Yeah. I'll breeze through these. Our landowner meetings, we're on track. We have had no candidates to date, correct? No candidates to date. We have until 25 December for submissions. On the 27th, Melissa will provide a memo that states anyone that's an actual candidate. If that's not the case, then come your January board meeting, you guys will be appointing somebody because there'll be no candidates for this empty seat. So that'll be a January discussion. So we're moving forward with that. We got the publications in the mail or in the newspaper. We're good on that. We're just waiting on letters of intent for candidacy. There's been no citizens or groups of citizens that come to me with an interest in the bottom section there, the elimination of our 2 landowners. That has to be citizen driven. I cannot do it as a district. So if they come, I will help them through the process. But right now, to date, no one has come saying, let's sign a petition, let's do something. And I'll explain to them.
Does that have to be approved by the board of supervisors then?
Well,
If you get the petitions that you're talking about, is that automatically going to be considered?
the petitions, I will inform you that they've met the criteria of 360. We'll make sure they're vetted. We'll get them to the county. There really is no board involved, and it's a county process. And then it starts moving forward through that process.
Because I was asked
Sure.
if they had to come back here to get approval from the supervisor, and I said, well, there's no sense in doing it if you do that.
No, it's county election supervisor. I mean, you see the timeline here. County election supervisor gets them, verifies them. We have a 6-month window to do the election, and then there's just a selection. Okay. We received all the money from FEMA and our insurance for this metal building. The picture there is at the Unit 4 wastewater plant. So I'm just asking because it's over $25,000, you approve this bid, that's a $33,000 bid. We can get this building done in about 3 weeks or 4 weeks construction, and then they're able to not only secure their vehicles, but move all the equipment that we relocated to the district office in our garages. They'll move all those pipes and valves out of there so I can start parking my code vehicles and stuff where they're supposed to be and get some space there. And just need a motion to approve the expenditure of $33,000 for this metal building.
Motion.
Second.
Any public comment? We're replacing the metal building that was destroyed during a hurricane.
I have a question. Where is that?
Unit 4 is the northern wastewater plant. It's off of Arvada, yeah, off of Frontage Road. Get the back way in there. Yeah.
Any board, further board discussion? Call the vote.
Supervisor Gilpin,
Yes.
Supervisor Norton,
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks,
Yes.
Supervisor Phillips,
Yes.
President Herrick.
Yes. Okay, anything else from the finance director? Okay. Cynthia, anything from community? Any follow-up items or new business?
Wait, I got, last meeting I asked about the cost of a resident bringing in a guest for tennis. Did you get a clarification on that?
Yes, it is $5 per person.
Can one member bring in 2 guests?
Yes, they would just need to register.
So that was really the issue.
At the
because
pool
I had to
office.
call somebody else.
We've actually we've ordered wristbands that are colored per day of the week, and we can write the date on them so that we can actually verify that people that are there have purchased the daily.
Okay, that's all I need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
When is that gonna start?
Immediately.
We have a lot of flavor there from non-members currently, just have to say.
We're gonna get the word out this month. We're gonna come by either this office here, Cindy's office, and we'll get these tags on everyone. Because we found a gap in our, I'll call security system, is that we have a lot of players that are using outdated ID cards. They don't have an expiration date on there. This will correct that. It's gonna take us some time to get the new tags on there. And then when my security gets over there and does a face-to-face, let me see your card. If they don't have the appropriate card with the expiration date, they'll be kindly asked to leave or pay the $5 if someone invited them.
So the ID card that I use does not have a date on it.
Right, we just received yesterday stickers that we're gonna be putting on the back of every card that we can put
So
there.
a monthly person comes for a month, and then at the end of the month, put a new sticker out of the
Yeah.
top of the order.
Yeah.
We'll get the word out through all our social media areas, or the membership list. We'll get the word out for all those with ID cards.
And this is something we've tried for a long, long time, it's just never successful.
It's challenging.
Yeah.
Do we need to entertain additional pickleball courts? I mean, I'm not a player, so I don't know, but I hear it's very crowded all the time.
If managed, as a player, if managed properly, no, we're fine. Currently.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I'm good.
Okay, discussion to and from the board.
Are we gonna talk about the golf course?
You already did.
The golf committee.
Golf
Oh,
course.
your minutes from your November meeting are in there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The charter didn't change much other than in red, I gave you some my commentary on their charter. It wasn't changes, it was when I reviewed their previous as well as their new charter, there's some areas of concern I would have as a manager that they should appropriately be addressed, so we make sure it's an open and transparent discussion for everyone. But that's just my feedback. There's been no motion to ask, they've asked to change the charter, but if you read the old charter, interestingly enough, they can change the charter without the board approval.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was
So-
one of the original members of the
Yes.
committee, and they were just a committee formed to be a liaison. They had no power.
So what they submitted as changes, since they're allowed to amend it, you're just basically reviewing it, and just, if you give me any commentary, I can take back to them and say, hey, you need to look at this, this, and this, but it's really not for a motion to accept their charter. They own their own little charter.
Exactly.
The only thing I guess you could do is just eliminate it in totality, but that's not for discussion, that's not what's on discussion.
Well, I think the way they're handling districts is terrible.
I'm just gonna say that anyone that wants to speak can speak under the same guidelines that we utilize here at this meeting.
I mean, they're,
3 minutes.
Period.
they're saying that they don't notify themselves 5 days prior to the meeting, they have to notify themselves. But they're saying the guest has to notify them 7 days prior. It just, you know.
That's not why it was formed.
Okay. If that's the consensus, then I will show up at their next meeting with that man right there, and we will inform them that that's an unacceptable part of their charter.
It's unacceptable.
Yeah, and if it could work with a time limit on it like we did,
Sure.
that's fine.
And it should be a time.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that? I have no,
Yeah,
guys, I'll go with that.
that's one of the smaller problems. You know, so that, the
Okay.
problem is that they're trying to direct work to be done, and that's for the sport here.
Gotcha.
And that's the problem, and has been for the last 3-4 years.
I know there's some personnel changes this month with them. I will show up at their next meeting and I'll voice those concerns. And I think a new president or new chairman of that committee is due, I believe, in the next couple months.
Yeah, so December is the last month.
So that may be a point
I
of
was gonna
discussion.
ask, I appointed the one now, and it says that it's gotta be done every 2 years.
Sure.
Is it okay, or is she gonna resign?
Yes, she's already resigned.
Okay, because if she resigns, it's okay, but
Yeah.
I don't want it to go on if.
She's already resigned,
Okay,
Okay.
effective with the December meeting, after the December meeting. For next year, she resigned.
I'll be at their next meeting. I'll get a few, explain our concern, give you all some feedback on that.
Okay. All right, having that, if I missed anything else,
I think maybe, was there a motion for 11C?
Yeah, we didn't get the vote. We got the motion in a second. We didn't get the vote for the building.
yeah, we did. We voted it, yeah.
But there's another one for an additional, let's see, 75K.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize. We skimmed over Sun and Lake. You guys authorized me to finish the project. There's an additional 175 that we need to complete.
Oh, okay, yes.
I apologize.
All right, yes. Okay, yeah, I realize, motion to approve additional 175 on funding for the utilities reserves for the repairs and replacement.
Motion.
Second.
Any public comment? All vote.
Supervisor Phillips,
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin,
yes,
Supervisor Norton,
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks,
Yes.
President Herrick.
Yes.
Going back to the golf committee, so, who's going to appoint the new president? Or the new chairman or whatever?
They're appointed by the president. And if I assume that whoever is president in January can appoint them first.
Shouldn't we do it in December? If the person's leaving.
it should be done in December, Craig should do it, but that's what I was asking. I don't want it to, if you guys want to, that's fine, I mean, but it should be done by Mr.
I mean, they have a meeting the first week of January. So we should have a new person in that seat by that, shouldn't we?
I'll consider it.
Oh, I think it's a good idea.
Well, okay, on top of that, then back on the golf committee thing. As far as I'm concerned, their discussions on restaurant issues is immaterial. That is not part of the golf committee.
I agree,
I agree.
So.
I agree.
Okay, no more food recommendations.
Please.
Okay.
Only relates to that stuff associated with golf.
Sure.
Period.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right.
That would have to be changed in what they gave us.
Okay. I'm gonna try this one more time. Any discussion to it from the board? Motion